Hello, welcome to the Euro 2020 prediction show. So it's part of the ongoing Euro 2020 content we've got going on over the bar. Joining me for the evening for the show this week, got Rory, Mark from the Bundesliga show, and Mark being the hybrid between the Bundesliga and League One. We'll jump straight into it. So basically, what we're going to take a look at is each individual group, have a bit of a preview, talk about each team, then offer our predictions for each group, and we'll have a look at like semi-finals, final, and who we're predicting for the Golden Boot and the Golden Glove Awards at the end of the tournament. So we'll dive straight in, and we'll go to Group A first of all, and we've got the opening games of the tournament coming from that group as well. So we've got Italy versus Switzerland opening the tournament on Friday night, and we've also got Turkey and Wales in that group as well. I'll come to you, Roy, first on this one. So what do you make of this group overall, and which teams stand out on paper for you on that one?
So yeah, obviously on the basic view in it looks like Italy probably the strongest team. What they've been doing recently is building quite an exciting looking team. Obviously all the usual kind of suspects for them will be dangerous with Immobile and co going forwards. And they've got some talented, obviously, midfielders as well. Obviously none other than Verratti, who will be ratting around as always. Aside from Italy, I reckon this group is quite open. Switzerland are always there or thereabouts, aren't they? Turkey have been throwing together some good form. They've thrown in some interesting results actually in the build up to the tournament. So they look like they're a threat. And obviously one of the home nations that's going to be in the tournament, obviously being Wales, who do look light in certain areas, but they obviously do have this habit of turning up when it comes to these big games. And generally speaking, Wales seem to beat teams that they should beat and rarely kind of disappoint. So for me, it's really open. I think as much as I think Wales have got an opportunity, they look like the most light in terms of squad depth. So I think they'll probably find it tricky to advance, even with the kind of leniency with being able to qualify as the third best team, depending on the points and stuff from other groups. So yeah, Italy obviously kick off the tournament. So I think they'll get off to a good start and be able to control the group from there. And then it's probably anyone's guess. Obviously, we'll be making predictions who's going to come out of the group, and probably all look, very amateurish when Wales top the group and I look like a mug. But that's how I see it at the moment. It looks like Italy should be able to, have a strong hold of the group, and then it's maybe anyone's guess who maybe sneaks to the next qualifying place, and then maybe a third best runner-up.
Yeah, you made a good point at Italy. There's still some outstanding names. It's not one that's littered with superstars like we've seen in previous tournaments for Italy. There's still got some very standout names, haven't they? But it's not one that you'd say they're among the world elite, would you? Mark, would you agree with Roy's assessment that Italy will likely top the group and that second spot's wide open for the other three?
Yeah, I think obviously Italy, the legends of international football, really, aren't they? But they did miss the World Cup 2018. You got to remember, so they're going to see revenge. In all honesty, I don't think it's a vintage Italian side, to be honest with you. Obviously, under Roberto Mancini nowadays, I think while they will be favourites to top the group, and obviously I think maybe at least 2, maybe even 3 of the games are in Rome as well. So that's going to be an advantage. Obviously, how many fans are going to make it into the ground, I think, is very much anyone's guess, even at this stage, But I think, you got to fancy Italy to get through the group. I think, to be honest, the team that stand out for me as the second best are probably Switzerland, to be honest with you. I think they tend to be one of those teams that they do well in international tournaments, and they do have a really good record of making it through the groups as well. I think Turkey, the Turkey fans have got really, really big hopes actually for this tournament, but I've just got a funny feeling that they might disappoint. The pressure might be a little bit too much for them because the fans really do have big hopes. I think it's their first tournament in a good while, I think since 2008. So, yeah, they've got big hopes for this one. I think Wales I'm going to be honest with you, they look a side that are quite poor, to be honest with you. I think, obviously, Gareth Bale is a shadow on the player that he was at his best, really, now. I think Ramsey's come in with an injury as well. I think he's in the squad, but he's quite injury-prone these days. So, obviously they got the problems with the gig situation. So I think Robert Page is leading the squad. So I don't know really. I think Rory had a point that in their only previous tournament they were amazing, weren't they, in 2016, making the semi-finals. But this year, for me, I'd be surprised if they win a game in that group, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't see him coming through that group and like to finish bottom. And say Bale's still got glimpses of brilliance in him, and when he was playing for Tottenham, he still looked a solid player. And I don't think he's got enough in it to drag him through. But I'd say when you're like strike leadership's being spearheaded by Hal Robson-Kanu, you've not got the best of strike forces, haven't you? So I think Wales will struggle there. Personally, I've got quite high hopes for Turkey. I think they're one of them teams that are very difficult to beat. I think it's a toss-up between them and Switzerland. Italy, for me, will win the group. They came through winning 10 out of 10 in the qualification stage, so they do look quite strong. So it will be a tough team to beat. Mancini's a quality manager, so I think Italy will be fine there. Right, in terms of predictions, we'll come to you first, Rory. Who are you predicting to come out of this group?
Right, to kick it off, Italy go through top. Switzerland will come second, and Turkey will take third place, with Wales unfortunately taking fourth place. So yeah, Italy and Switzerland to qualify.
And who are you going with, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Rory exactly there, actually. But you never know whether the third place team's going to qualify or not. Like, I think usually, like these days, I think 4 points should guarantee qualification. So yeah, I mean, who knows whether third place will go through? But I agree. I think Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, Wales.
I'm going to go slightly different. I've got big hopes for Turkey. So I'm going with Turkey to get second. But the group will be that tight. I think Switzerland will be one of the ones to get through in third place, in the third place standings. But yeah, I'm going to go with Turkey to go through, Switzerland to get one of the third spots. We'll move on to Group B now. Another group that looks like it's going to be very close to call. So in this one, we've got Belgium, Russia, Denmark, and Finland. I came to you second on the first group, Mark, so I'll come to you first this time. What do you make of this group, and do you think Belgium are the overwhelming favourites to qualify in this one?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's quite a hard group again, to be honest with you. I think Denmark, you can very much compare them to Switzerland. They're one of those sides that are really, really hard to beat. They don't concede many goals. I think in the World Cup, they got to the last 16 and then were unlucky to lose on penalties to Croatia. So they could easily have made that last 8, you know. So I think they're a good side, Denmark. I think they beat England as well quite recently in the Nations League. So I think I can actually see them topping the group, because I think in Belgium there's a lot of pressure at the moment, and obviously De Bruyne is unlikely to make the tournament. So yeah, I think that's a massive loss. They've still got loads of quality, don't get me wrong, but you've got to remember that some key elements are aging now in that Belgium side. The likes of Vertonghen, Alderweireld, they're well over 30 now, and I think they're kind of the key defenders. You know, I think obviously Lukaku has had an amazing season, so he's going to be crucial. I think, yeah, obviously Russia, I think obviously they had an amazing World Cup, but I'm not fully convinced that they're going to be able to replicate that kind of form. Like, I think obviously the likes of Alexander Golovin is going to be really vital for them, but I'm not sure really. I'm not sure they've quite got the quality, but I think, yeah, it's probably going to be Denmark or Belgium. Finland, obviously the first ever major tournament in their history. So, I mean, this is a massive opportunity for them. I think obviously they play Scandinavian rivals Denmark and then kind of local rivals Russia as well. So it's going to be interesting group for them, but I don't see enough quality. And obviously Timo Pukki, who's a bit of a legend in England, but I mean, it'll need a miracle for them. I guess what they can hope for is to try and kind of grab third spot and go through as one of the best placed third sides. So, but yeah, they won't do it for me, I don't think.
Would you agree with that, Rory, or do you think Finland got a chance, or do you think Belgium are going to win the group?
So looking at my predictions that I've made beforehand, I do have Belgium coming top, but the way that Mark's just described it, he's talked me over, to be honest. Like, he's made so many good points, like about the aging profile of the side, the defense, and to me, I was just looking on paper and just like name, just quality. I think, yeah, obviously the thing about De Bruyne was he got to have minor face surgery, so I don't know if he is going to make it. I haven't seen enough news about his situation, but if he doesn't go, then yeah, that's a huge blow. Like, both Hazard brothers have had nothing seasons. was it Carrasco? He's been, had his time and moment in the sunshine. They got a quality midfield, of course, but yeah, Denmark looked like a bit of a side, and over the course of the group stages, they could well really test Belgium for that top spot. I don't think either team will have many issues with Russia or Finland. Russia obviously had a good tournament in the World Cup in their homeland, and they did themselves proud. But I think this time they'll struggle a bit more. So for me, it looks fairly clear cut between first and second place. And I have to say I do agree that the team that finishes third will probably not collect enough points to go through, whoever that will be. So it looks like a close group, but I reckon it'll be fairly clear cut by the end of it.
Yeah, I agree with most of the points. I still think Belgium will win the group. And when you look at Belgium came through a qualification group again, similar to Italy, 10 wins from 10. It also had Russia in that qualification group, so you've got the benefit of playing them again. I think a lot of it will become clear, well, in terms of Kevin De Bruyne in the next few days. I think the likely is he's going to have to play with a face mask on, by all accounts. So it does seem like he's still going to be fit for the tournament, but having to wear protective face gear. I think it'll all come down to the Belgium-Denmark game for who tops that group. My only concern with Denmark is Christian Eriksen, as good as he is, that's their main attacking outlet. When you look at striker-wise, Pearson, I can't really think of anyone else apart from Yusuf Pearson who would be playing up front for Denmark. So unless you guys can think of anybody else off the top of your head.
Braithwaite, he's all right.
Yeah, say Barcelona's forgotten man. But yeah, they've got a strong spine really. They've got Kasper Schmeichel in net, Sam Kjær from Milan. So they have got a very strong spine there. I still think that ultimately Belgium have got too much in that group, but we'll come to your predictions now for who's going to do it. So, Mark, over to you first. Who are you predicting to win the group, and then second?
Yeah, I've got big hopes for Denmark, so I'm going to put them at top of the group. Then I'm going to go for Belgium, then Russia, then Finland. But yeah, I agree. I don't see either of them qualifying, unfortunately.
Yeah, would you agree with that, Rory?
So I'm going Belgium first, even though Mark made a lot of good points. Denmark second, Russia third, but won't qualify as one of the better place runners-up, or whatever you want to call them, and then Finland fourth. Yeah,
I'm going to go with a bold prediction: Belgium to win every single game they play in the group. Denmark 2 out of 3 to come second, and I don't think any of the other two sides will get into that third spot, but. When you look at those 16 teams go through from the 24th at the start of the tournament, so only 8 are going through, so going out. So there's not much margin to mess it up big time to a point you're out of the tournament so early. I think you only got to win one game, you've got a good chance of going through, as long as you don't get battered than the other two. So I think that's one thing to bear in mind for the third places. We'll move on to Group C now. Another tough group to call when you look at it on paper. So. In this one, we've got Holland, Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia. On paper, Roy, what do you think of that group?
I don't know an awful lot about Ukraine, so it's hard to see where they're at right now. But Netherlands, of course, going through a bit of a not a transitional period, but I think obviously the more famous names that have come and gone in the team, have now moved on, and they're kind of starting to adjust a little bit. They've got a strong core of players. Obviously, they are missing one of those major players in the shape of Virgil or Van Dijk. He's a big miss for whatever team it's national or for his club team. So that's a big miss. But I think still with that in mind, they've got a decent amount of talent going forward. They've obviously got De Jong, they've got Depay, who's playing some good football at the moment as well, scoring goals. So I think the basis of their team is still very talented. Maybe the likes of Donny van de Beek might be able to revive some form at the Euros, having had a very poor start to his Man United career, but there's still a quality player in there. So yeah, obviously we'll have to see how they go, but they look like the strongest on paper. Austria is an interesting side because they seem to be littered with Bundesliga players. So me and Mark were talking about this when England were playing Austria in the warm-up game. Obviously we've got Kalajdzic up front, who's again kind of come out of nowhere. His strengths are obvious. 6'7", I think he is, isn't he, Mark? Something like that.
Yeah.
Brilliant in the air, an absolute brute in the air. So they'll get a lot of joy potentially from set pieces and whipping in crosses. Obviously, the one thing they don't have is Bjorn Sousa whipping them in, obviously from the Stuttgart partnership.
Yeah.
So whether they play to his strengths, I don't know. And then obviously they've got kind of like the attacking, not quartet, but trio behind him sometimes. Obviously, you've got Baumgartner, you've got Sabitzer, all very talented players. So they look like they've got enough, I think. And obviously, I don't know anything about North Macedonia. I won't even pretend to know anything about them. I know that obviously Alioski plays for them from Leeds. He's had a good season in the Prem. So I think they might be clutching at straws. Although I've drawn them in one of my Euro sweepstakes, so I will be supporting them regardless that they go through. But yeah, I've been stitched there, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know too much about Ukraine, but they should obviously have enough to, in my head, finish third and probably maybe just about do enough to qualify with some additional points. But yeah, other than that, it looks like first and second should be the aforementioned Netherlands and Austria.
Do you agree with that, Mark, or in terms of that group setup, or do you think there could be a few surprises in there?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, again, I'm a bit torn between the top spot in this one because I don't think this is a vintage Holland side without Van Dijk for me. I think, obviously the likes of De Ligt and De Jong, there was big hopes for them when they were at Ajax a couple of years ago. But for me, they've not really kicked on to be world-class players as of yet. Do you know what I mean? And I think, obviously the loss of Van Dijk is absolutely massive for any team. I think with him, they would have been a much better side, to be honest, just like Liverpool at the end of the day. I think, I really like the look of this Austria side, though, to be honest. Obviously, Schlager as well as the guys that you mentioned, one of the best midfielders in the Bundesliga for Wolfsburg. They've got no end of, great Bundesliga players, Baumgartner, as you said. I think, realistically, they could potentially top this group, actually. I think it's not impossible. We saw them against England where, let's be honest, they were robbed by the referee really in that game. They should have had at least a draw in that one, potentially even won it. And I think Ukraine, they've got a few decent players, but I think they're a bit of an aging side as well. Obviously Yarmolenko, you probably know from the Premier League for West Ham. A few other decent players as well. But it's again, Ukraine, they always fight really, really hard. They're a very passionate team, so they're going to be 100% committed to it. But I'm not sure but potentially if they beat North Macedonia, that could be enough with a good goal difference, and that could be enough in its own right to take them through. So there's a lot to play for them as well. I mean, the interesting thing with this group is that when you've got a team as unfancied as North Macedonia, then you know that if you beat them and you probably get even 1 point from the other two games, you're pretty much guaranteed to go through. So, I mean, it's very possible that Ukraine could be playing in the last 16. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've got quite high hopes for Ukraine. I think Andrei Shevchenko's kind of taking his reputation over from being a player into being a steady coach so far, and he's really got them playing. They did top a group that did contain Portugal and Serbia, so no mugs, especially we were talking earlier this afternoon, Mark, about how strong that Portugal side is. So a group on top of a team at the level of Portugal, it takes some doing. Came through unbeaten as well, like I said. 6 wins, 2 draws. So, like I said, Matt, they have got a bit of an aging side, but I think that's the only thing for me that concerns me about them. I said Yarmolenko, they've got Roman Yaremchuk up front from Ghent, who's a decent striker. So I think they've got the firepower there to get the goals. Like I say, it's not a vintage Holland side either, so I think it is wide open, this group, and I think this is one of the ones where third place in this group will definitely get one of those third place spots in the round 16. That's my prediction for that anyway, but we'll come to you, Rory, first this one. Who are you predicting first, second, and will the third place team get one of the spots in the round 16?
Rather naively, I'm going to say Netherlands first, Austria second, and I have got Ukraine to come third. But from what I've done, looking ahead of the other groups, I don't think that they'll get enough points. So I'm going to say Ukraine won't qualify. So that might be a bit of a shock. But I just, frankly, I don't think that they'll pick up enough points. So that's my shout anyway.
And do you agree with that, Mark, or are you jigging your order about that?
Yeah, I think I've just about gone Holland over Austria, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Austria turn Holland over in that game, to be honest. Yeah. So, I have gone Holland because of just like namesake, really, more than anything. So I've gone for Holland, then Austria. Yeah. But I disagree with Rory on the fact I think Ukraine will qualify for the last 16 because I think like usually you need a maximum of 4 points. So I can't see them not beating North Macedonia in all honesty. And I think they could potentially get a draw against the Netherlands or Austria as well. So I see them going through, and then North Macedonia is just a great thing for them to be there at the end of the day, isn't it? So
I think I'm slightly overhyping Ukraine ahead of you two. I've been like tossing up between them and Holland in the group. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with my original pick of Holland, and then Ukraine second, Austria third, but to get a spot in the round 16 via the third place table. We'll move on now to England's group, so Group D. So in this one, we've got two of the home nations, England, Scotland, Croatia, and the Czech Republic. I'll come to you on this one first, Mark. What do you make of this group overall?
Yeah, I mean, obviously England are favourites, but the problem is I think it's not as straightforward as you think because we've got one of our biggest bogey teams of all time, Croatia. I mean, I think England fans have got a lot of nightmares from playing Croatia, but it has to be remembered that I think we mentioned before the show, this is an ageing Croatian side now. I mean, I think Mandzukic has retired from international football. He was vital to them. Obviously, Modric is still top draw, but he's now, 35, 36. Rakitic, the same. I think he's about 32, 33. Then obviously they've got that famous centre-half pairing of Lovren and Vida, who were great in the last World Cup. So I think, they're going to be a tough side. They're another one of those sides, that really fight very, very hard for the country. They're not going to be an easy side. Obviously, Ivan Perisic as well is a really good player. I think, the other one is Scotland. I mean, obviously Scotland are one of those sides. England fans in some ways see them a bit as a bit of a joke, let's be honest, in some ways. But this team is not to be taken as a joke, in my opinion. Like, they have got some quality players in there, like Robertson, obviously McTominay, who I quite like for Man United. They do have quality in the side. It's definitely the best Scotland side that I can remember for a good while, It's their first tournament since 1998. They're going to really, really want to win. Well, to beat England, I think that'll be the first goal, then qualify through the group. So, I think Czech Republic again, like that Slavia Prague side that we saw in the Europa League this year, they're a decent side, and they've got the likes of Susek, Kufal. They do have also Patrick Schick as well, who's one of our Bundesliga favourites. So, there's quality in that side. There's quality in most sides in the tournament, to be honest. So I definitely don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for England, but obviously they are going to be favourites to win the group at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And Rory, do you agree with that assessment of Group D?
In my statement, I'm going to say the fact that football's coming home. I do agree. Yeah, I think England. The only annoying thing is the way that the fixtures have fallen for me. It would have been delightful to start with Czech Republic based on the look of the other teams. Then go into Scotland, win that, and they maybe not have to worry so much about Croatia, and then maybe even throw it if it means getting an easier path into the tournament. But England have got quality all around the pitch. They've got players, generally speaking, in form in pretty much every position. Slight, obviously, worry about the defence, but that has been obviously for a few years anyway now, so that's not anything new. So I mean, just the attacking talent that we have going forward, it's just if it all clicks on the pitch, then we've got a great chance. But I do believe we'll go through. I do believe that will probably top the group. Croatia, I just don't think that, even though it's an annoyingly tricky first game, the fact that they are our bogey team, I just don't think they've got enough form players at the moment. Obviously, they've got Kramaric up top as well.
Yeah,
Another big Bundesliga man who's had a really good season, actually. So whether he starts for the national team, I don't know. I presume he will do. Surrounded by Perisic, like Rebic is a decent player. And that, obviously the core of players that Mark mentioned. They will be dangerous, but I think we should have enough about us. I think the different age profiles of the two teams, I think eventually will tell. I think we'll beat them. And Scotland's obviously a huge game. I will be in Scotland at the time of the game, so that'll be exciting for me. So I'll have to, kind of measure myself when I'm watching the game to make sure I don't get thrown out of thrown out of a tavern wherever I'm watching it. But Scotland have got a good chance. They're well led by Robertson. They've got some good players, but they are short in some areas as well. Goal scoring doesn't really seem like one of their strengths. So I think they've still got a good chance of maybe scraping out of the group, though. But yeah, let's hope that the boys can do it and go through without any hitches or glitches.
Yeah, they've got plenty about watching Scots, so I expect you to be running around Edinburgh with the St George's flag, shouting "God Save the Queen." I agree with what you're saying, Roy. I think playing Croatia would probably be a much better game to have later on. I'd rather have them third than first because, like I say, they're an Asian squad. I think playing. I know they got to the World Cup final in 2018, but playing 3 games in a very short space amount of time, I'd rather play them third. But like we were saying before we came on, Mark, you've got to beat the best teams, aren't you, to get there? And obviously Croatia aren't the team they were 2 years ago, but they are still a very strong squad. Scotland, I think in any other group you'd probably talk them down a little bit, but seeing as they are playing England, it's going to add that extra 10% onto their effort scale there, and they definitely want to go, and especially being at Wembley as well, and they'll want to get a result there. Czech Republic as well, I think what a lot of people need to remember as well is they did beat England during that qualification campaign. I know it was in the Czech Republic and we battered them 5-0 at Wembley, but they have shown they are capable of beating this England side. So it's not a straightforward group as some people are thinking, but I still think we've got enough there to top the group. But yeah, prediction time. Mark, as always, who's going to win second? And you think anyone in this group could get into the round 16 by the third table?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go England to win the group. Yeah, I think there is too much quality. And obviously with the fact the games are at Wembley too, that's also a big help as well. I think, I'm actually going to go Croatia second. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of quality despite them being an aging side. Then I'm going to go, it's a hard one, but I'm actually going to go Scotland to pip Czech Republic, actually. I just think Scotland are going to be so fired up for this team, third, Czech Republic fourth. Whether they get enough to qualify is very, very 50 hit and miss in this one, really, I think. But I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say they will qualify.
And who are you going with, Roy, for that one?
So I'm going England to top the group, and I'm actually going Czech Republic to finish second. I don't know where I've got this from, but I've just got a feeling. I think so. I've also picked Croatia to come third, but I think they'll qualify with enough points. I think, Czech Republic might just surprise a few people, and unfortunately, Scotland probably come bottom of the group. I hope no one watches this in Scotland and then hunts me down afterwards. But I just think they'll just be pipped to the post, unfortunately, and miss out. So, that's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree with Mark's prediction of England top, Croatia second. Then I think I'm going to go Scotland third, Czech Republic bottom. I don't know if Scotland will have enough to get into that top of that third table to get into the round 16. But I think they'll definitely give themselves a chance. Like Mark was saying, I think if you get 4 points, that's enough to get you in that. But I can only see Scotland getting 3. Whether that's enough, I think it's a case if you get that one win, avoid being battered in the other 2, you've got a chance. But I think it's quite tough to tell on that one. Group E, I think a lot of people having issues and struggles predicting a top 2 out of this one as well. Another very close group. In this one, we've got Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia. Come to you first on this one, Rory. What do you make of this group?
Oh gosh, coming to me first on this group, blimey. Tricky one, really, isn't it? We all know that it's not Spain of of 2008 and the glory years when they were just ridiculous and impossible to beat. They are very much a hybrid side at the moment. Not really sure which kind of direction they're going. Although I think, didn't they spank Germany? Was it 6-0 or something in a friendly?
Yeah, they did,
So I guess they've still got talent in all areas. Interesting one. Obviously, there's been a lot of media and press kind of hype about there being Zilcho Real Madrid players. So that's obviously an interesting. Obviously, the big omission of Sergio Ramos. So there won't be any Panenka penalties from him in the group stages or something like that. So that's a shame. But yeah, they still look like a force. They've got a good group of players, all very talented, technically, fantastic. So they'll still be exciting to watch, and I think they'll probably still spearhead the group. Aside from that, yeah, very open. Poland, of course, will hope to be spearheaded by the amazing Robert Lewandowski. And just from that very fact, I think they've got a superb chance of getting through the group. He knows how to sniff out a goal. Obviously, he's not playing with the same quality of players than he does with his club side. So he probably doesn't get the service that he would always want. But I think they look like my probably shout to come second, with Sweden and Slovakia probably fighting it out for third and fourth. Sweden a very safe pair of hands, I would say. Hard to score loads of goals against. Obviously, they generally speaking do okay at tournaments. Obviously, we were able to see them off relatively easily. Obviously, in the group in the knockout stages of the World Cup, but they're always that team that are quite steely. And hard to beat. Obviously, we've got Victor Lindelof in the heart of their defence. It's a shame that Zlatan hasn't made it. That would have been fantastic to have him as a vocal point. And at the end of the day, he's quality and he brings goals, which is one thing that I think Sweden might lack. So that's why I think they might get pipped to the post. Slovakia, good side overall, but I don't think they've got too many outstanding players, so I think they'll probably struggle in the group overall. So that's the way that I see the group at the moment.
And would you agree with that, Mark? Different opinion.
Yeah, I think obviously Spain, it's hard to look beyond Spain really to win the group, so I'm not going to dwell on them too much. But yeah, I think obviously Poland, I've got a kind of funny view on them really, because I remember in the last World Cup I was massively tipping up Poland to a lot of people. I was like, these guys are going to be really, really good, but it was, as it turned out, they were terrible in it. They finished rock bottom of the group. They were absolutely garbage. I think Lewandowski got like one goal, but that was all. So yeah, I think a lot of people, I was reading an article about the top scorer for the tournament, and so many people were tipping Lewandowski to get top scorer. I mean, obviously, me and Rory know exactly how good the guy is, and we see him every week in the Bundesliga. But I mean, this Poland side is not as good as it was in the last Euros. I think when they made the quarterfinal in the last Euros. I think it is a bit of, again, there seem to be quite a lot of aging squads these days, don't there? It is a bit of an aging squad as well. But they do have other quality, the likes of Milik in there, who's quite a good player. But it's, it's not going to be easy for them. It's not going to be easy. But I'm actually going to go, I think Sweden are going to be quite good, actually, for me. I think Sweden are one of those teams that I don't know where they get it from, because if you look at the squad, it looks pretty bang average, but they always seem to turn up for these tournaments. And I think they have an amazing record of getting through the group stages as well. So I think they could be the team. And it's Slovakia, another one. I mean, they're going to be fourth favourites, but it's they're not a bad side. The likes of Andre Duda from FC Köln, who me and Rory know as well, a pretty good player who's going to be spearheading their attack. I think they were in England's group in the last Euros, weren't they? And I think they qualified in third place. So, yeah, I mean, they're not a bad side, really. So, yeah, it's another tough group, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was one of the ones where I found really difficult to predict. And when you look at the teams, I think, obviously, it's not the Spain of old, but still a lot of quality in there, even though they're not taking any Real Madrid players. I think Ramos will be a big miss. I know he's not had the best of season to Madrid, but the experience he brings, he's 35, but he's still a quality player. I think that this was probably his last tournament for Spain as well. When the World Cup rocks around, he'll be at least 36, pushing 37. So he might might be limited how much we see of Ramos in a Spain shirt now. With regards to Poland, I think they're probably the team I'm predicting for second. There's not outstanding quality, but they're very solid and very difficult to beat. Lewandowski will obviously get the goals and the point you're making, Mark, about top scorer. Yeah, I agree. He won't get top scorer. Harry Kane won top scorer at the World Cup, didn't he, in 2018? And he only scored in the group stage. I don't think he scored beyond the group stage, did he? At that World Cup, but we had Panama in that group, so I think he got the hat-trick there. So I think if Lewandowski can get firing early doors, he's got a chance of the Golden Boot. But I think a lot of that Polish squad have got to step up with him, and I don't see Poland advancing far. I see him getting out of the group, but beyond that, I don't see him getting last 16 any further beyond that. In terms of predictions, I'll come to you first, Roy. So who are you predicting the first step? Can anyone get in through in third place?
Doobie-doos. I've actually had a change of heart, so I've gone for Spain first, and I did have Sweden to come second, with Poland coming third, but I've just switched it around. So I reckon Poland will nick it, come second, Sweden to come third, but qualify as taking enough points from the group. So yeah, that's how I see that one.
And what about yourself, Mark?
Yeah, again, I'm going to go for Spain to win the group, and then I've gone for Sweden in second. And actually, I'm going to shock some people. I'm going to go Slovakia in third and Poland bottom, only because I tipped them up so much in the last World Cup and they were just absolutely abject. So yeah, I'm going to put them as bottom, Poland this time.
So my predictions, this one was spot on with Rory's. Spain to win the group, Poland second, and then Sweden to get through in third place. They're around 16. The final group for Euro 2020 is probably the one that's getting the most hype, seeing as they've got the quality in there of France, Portugal, Germany, and Hungary. And I think it'd be a brave man to put a mortgage on who's going to get through in this group. So, Mark, I'll come to you first on this one. What are your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, I think my first thoughts are I feel sorry for Hungary, to be honest with you. Obviously, they've got a great history in football. I mean, to get in a group like that, it really, really is tough on them, that's for sure, you know. Did well to qualify, beating Iceland in the playoff, and then they get drawn in a group like that. But yeah, I mean, for me, these are the three favourites to win the tournament, actually. I've got down these three sides as being the best three sides overall, if you look at the quality of the squad and the size of the squad. I think, obviously France World Cup winners, probably should have won the last Euros as well. You got Portugal finally, obviously winners of the last Euros. It just doesn't get any better, does it? Germany winners of the set. Actually, the last three major tournaments have been won by these three sides, incredibly. Obviously, World Cup 2014 by Germany, Euro 2016 by Portugal, and World Cup 2018 by France. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how these three sides got drawn in the same group. Obviously, being based in Germany, my main focus will be on the German side. I mean, to be honest, the German people are not overly optimistic about the team's chances, mostly because of Joachim Löw, the coach, who seems to be massively past his sell-by date. If I were them, I would have fired him before the tournament and put Hansi Flick in, to be honest with you. That would have been my choice. But, I mean, it's still a very, very strong German side at the end of the day, you know. I mean, it's really, really strong. Obviously, bringing back the likes of Thomas Müller, not quite so optimistic about the fact they brought back Hummels and Boateng, because I think both of them are past it, personally. But, yeah, Thomas Müller is going to be a massive addition back to that squad after 2.5 years in the wilderness. So, yeah, I mean, it's so tough. I mean, obviously, Portugal have got loads of players coming through now. Obviously, Ruben Diaz, the best player in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes is another, top quality player as well. I mean, France doesn't need any talking about, does it, at the end of the day, with the likes of Mbappe and whoever. I mean, for me, these are the three best squads in the tournament. So, I mean, whoever goes through is your own pick, really.
Yeah, would you agree with that, Roy? I think this is too wide open to call, really.
Actually, I don't. Going a little bit against the grain, I feel bad for what I'm probably about to say, but I think out of the three major nations that we've got in this group, I think Germany are far and away the worst out of the three. if you just look on the face of the squad of Portugal, who you imagine they might be closest to, obviously, Mark mentioned Ruben Diaz, best player in the Premier League this year, obviously superb. You got João Cancelo as well, a Man City fellow title winner, and Rafa Guerreiro as well, a quality left back, obviously from our Bundesliga's perspective. Their midfield is packed, obviously, not only Bruno, you've got Ruben Neves of Wolves, you got João Moutinho as well, obviously the Portugal connection there. And then going into their forward line is just ridiculous. Andre Silva, of course, he was unbelievably good with Frankfurt this season. You got Bernardo Silva, certain CR7's going to rock up as well. Jota, like their squad is scary good. And like France's is similarly good. Like their squad depth is ridiculous. Obviously, Mbappe up top with Marcus Thuram's fantastic player. Obviously, unfortunately, Martial's injured and probably wouldn't have even got in the squad anyway because he's had a poor season. But their attack is absolute flames, basically. And their midfield, they control the game. Pogba, Kante, what a great amount of choice they've got in there. Look solid at the back. They're so solid that they can afford to just shove off Laporte as well, who's gone over to Spain. Like they're not asked. That is amazing, isn't it? Like given how much talent he has. I know he's fallen down below Stones and Diaz at City, but still he was a quality player. So and just the Germany team, their form is so shaky. They've had to call upon the likes of Muller and Hummels, who were out of fashion only just a season ago. They both had strong seasons, particularly Muller, but I just don't see it happening for Germany at all. And I think they'll come third, and they'll probably get enough points to go through as a result. But I think far and away it's France and Portugal for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Roy. I think Germany out of the three are the weaker. So one name missed off of Portugal as well. I think a lot of people aren't really talking about as being a potential star to tournament, João Felix. Really, obviously one of the world's most expensive players, and people aren't really talking about him. He's going to be a huge part of that Portugal attack as well. I think bringing in Thomas Muller back for Germany is a master stroke, and he should never have been dropped in the first place. He's always turned up for Germany. He's always putting a performance in. He always gets the goals for Germany when it matters. I think for Germany to get through, there's a good chance they will lose to both France and Portugal, and then after a line absolutely battering Hungary to have a chance at third spot. I still think they'll get through, but they're probably going to need a result, even a draw from France, Portugal, and batter Hungary to get through. Mark, prediction time, first, second, and will a third spot get through?
Yeah, to be honest, this was so hard to tip. For me, I've gone for France just because they won the last World Cup, obviously, and then Portugal. But for me, they are probably the best two squads in the tournament, no question. And then I've gone for Germany. I wouldn't be shocked to see Germany pull out a surprise or beat one of those two big teams. So, yeah, and then obviously Hungary, it's just an absolute nightmare for them, really. I mean, they can enjoy the games. They're playing three of the best teams in the world, but I mean, the chances of qualifying are virtually zero, let's be honest. So, yeah, France, Portugal, Germany, then Hungary.
And what do you think, Rory?
Yeah, spot on. France, Portugal, straight through. Germany as a best third place runner-up. Yeah, that's all makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think after Mark's logic about Germany, I think if they can, I'm going with France to win the group regardless, but if Germany can get something against Portugal, it would put them in a good step for second spot. But I'm going to stick with Portugal. That was my initial prediction. Germany third and to get through on that one. Right, we're going to head over to the knockout stages of the tournament. Rather than going through the last 16 and quarterfinals, we're going to jump straight to semi-finals and see who we think is going to get there. I'll be honest, I got absolutely lost looking at that tournament tree, mainly because of that third place situation. But Mark, I think you've pretty much mapped out every scenario, haven't you? So who are you going as your final four at this point?
Yeah, I mean, don't even ask me how I got there, but yeah, I have come out with a final four. I think I spent about 2 hours this afternoon trying to map it out and everything, but I did come out with a final four. I actually came out with France v Italy as the first semi-final, mostly because Italy, I think they have a decent draw. If they win the group, they would go on to play probably Austria by my reckoning, and then Belgium. So, yeah, I mean, for me, that's a decent draw. So I see them making the semis. Then my other semi was actually Denmark v Portugal. Yeah. I think Denmark could potentially if they win the group like I predicted, they could actually have a half decent draw in there. So yeah, I think Denmark could be the shock of the tournament personally.
And who have you got, Rory?
So the way I've worked it out, that I have a semi-final, firstly of Belgium, France, so fairly similar to Mark, but I reckon Belgium will do Italy in the quarters. France will come through, or looks like a pretty nice little draw for them. The way I have it, they've got Russia and Poland. And then my other semi, I'm back in England. So England will be playing Netherlands by all accounts, I reckon, in the semis. Netherlands, I reckon, will just do Denmark in the quarters. We've obviously got to get past, by my reckoning, Portugal and Spain. So no easy feat, but that's my semi-final lineup anyway.
Yeah, mine is similar-ish. Again, I don't know if I've got this right, but based on what you two said, I think I've mapped my tournament out right. France-Belgium semi-final, and then Portugal against Holland. For some reason, I want England to do well, but I think there's I don't say too much hype, but the bookies have got us joint favourites as of today with France. And I don't think we deserve, as good of a squad we've got, I don't think, when you look at the grand scheme like France, Portugal, how strong their squads are, and that's just like two of the names, I don't think we're deserving of that favourites tag, especially the performances we're putting against Austria and then Romania. I don't think they were quite up to what you expect from the favourite for a tournament. In terms of the final then, I'll come to you first, Roy, on this one. Who you got for the final and the eventual winner?
Oh, okay. So I'm feeling in an optimistic mood today, clearly. Or am I? So the final I'm going to say is France versus England. And I'm going to say Les Blues are going to pip us to the post. I feel disgusting saying it, but I think their squad is just so good. I think England will live up to the hype. I think we will go far, but I think we might fall just a little bit short. But so France to win it for me.
And what have you gone for, Mark?
Yeah, I think both teams are going to come from that group of death. For me, it's going to be a France v Portugal repeat final, actually. I think, for me, both sides are stronger than they were 4 years ago when they got to the final last time. I think, it's particularly Portugal, like they won it with a relatively weak side, in all honesty, for me. Not a weak side, that's way too harsh to say. But, I mean, compared to what they've got now, I mean, they've just got an insane team. For me, France v Portugal. And I'm going to go with the Ronaldo effect to take Portugal to back-to-back European titles for me.
Yeah, I've gone with the same. I've gone France-Portugal with a Portugal win. And I think when you look at 2016, the squad that Portugal won it with, it was like the Ronaldo show, but this time he has got serious backup in that squad. When you look at who got the winner for Portugal in that final, was it Eder? Is that
Yeah,
he got the winner in that final, and if you were to have that, you get nowhere near that squad. Now, you look at the firepower, like you've got Ronaldo, Felix, Silva, Andre Silva, and you've got Bernardo Silva, Neves. It's just a ridiculously strong squad. I'm going to go with Portugal to win the tournament as well. In terms of Golden Boot, so we won't dwell on it too much, just a name, or if there's any few honourable mentions you want to give. So, Mark, I'll come to you first, went Roy first last time. Who are you going with your Golden Boot, and who do you think the main contenders are?
Yeah, I think obviously Kane has got a great chance with the games being at Wembley. I mean, he really loves group stages, doesn't he, after the World Cup? But I mean, all in all, he's an amazing striker. You know, he really is. He's just born to score goals. But I've actually gone for Mbappe to win the Golden Boot. I just think, like, for France, he plays even better than for PSG for me. Like, I just thought he was amazing in that last World Cup, the way he and he was so young at that time as well, wasn't he? He was like, what? He was like 17, 18. So I think, I mean, for me, he's going to get it. But I think Harry Kane could be a close runner-up for me. And
who are you going with, Rory?
Well, I would have said Miroslav Klose, but I think he's retired now, unfortunately. With Klose not playing, I'm going to say Harry Kane. I think Mbappe does have a good chance, but he's obviously got a hard group stage. Obviously, he's playing against better defences, might not score as many goals. Obviously, Lewandowski's a great player, but I think ultimately he's in a poor team compared to obviously what he does with his club team. So, Harry Kane for me.
I've gone with CR7 on this one, just because I fancy Portugal so much to win this tournament, and I think he will spearhead that. Got to bear in mind, he takes obviously most of the free kicks and penalties, and I think Portugal will get quite a lot of goals given the creativity that they've got in that team. So I'm going to go Ronaldo, and then Mbappe is a close second, and then Harry Kane third. But they're my predictions for that one. In terms of the other award for the tournament, we've got the Golden Glove. Who are your contenders and who you feel winner on this one, Rory?
Whoa, that's a tricky one. Some of the keepers in the tournament don't really stand out, do they? I think. Obviously, French keeper is going to be Lloris, but he's not potentially as good as he once was. Rui Patricio is a solid keeper, but again, not outstanding. Pickford is, playing potentially behind a bit of a mishmash of a defence. I think will concede goals, so I don't see him probably getting anywhere near that. So it could be someone completely random. Maybe even someone like Courtois in net for Belgium, behind an experienced defence. That could be complete and utter rubbish. So struggling with this one, to be frankly honest. But just for the fact that I expect France to go far and they've got obviously a fantastic defence, I'll say Hugo Lloris.
And who are you going with, Mark?
Yeah, I think for me, I agree that Lloris is probably the kind of weak link for France these days. I think in the past he has been like one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but he's well into his 30s now, and I think he's been poor for Tottenham for the last 2 years. For me, I think he might make a couple of clangers which kind of give up a clean sheet. I've actually gone for a shock in this one. I've gone for Kasper Schmeichel of Denmark, because I just think Denmark is so solid defensively. Kept 2 clean sheets against England in the Nations League. I just don't see them conceding many goals, and I think I back them to make the semi-final. So I'd imagine they'd keep at least like 3-4 clean sheets on the way to that. So I've gone Kasper Schmeichel.
See, my logic is kind of similar to Rory's. I think Lloris, we're going to get to the final, France, without doubt for me. But like I said, I think they'll concede a few goals along the way. I've given the nod to Thibaut Courtois just simply because I think obviously Belgium will fall short in the semis, but I think they've got a slightly kinder run to get there and will concede fewer goals. So I'm going to go with Thibaut Courtois on that one. That rounds up our preview for Euro 2020. I hope you've enjoyed it. And obviously, if you agree, disagree with any of our picks, obviously if you've got your own predictions, let us know in the comments below. Also, we've got the ongoing Euro 2020 sticker book competition. So if you want to see the full rules again, refer to our England squad review video, and also the rules will be on the pinned tweet on the Twitter page. So if you head over to there, all the rules will be on there as well. It's free to enter, so make sure you get involved on that. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all very soon.
Cheers all.